Good now? Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. A few brief announcements before we start. In 2 languages.
大家好，欢迎来到今天。我们等一下会有一些消息，先跟大家分享一下。
The schedule today will be 10 to 12 for the first session, and then there will be a 2-hour lunch break.
我们今天的教授第一段是上午的10点到12点，然后中午会有2个小时的休息时间。
During the lunch break, you can leave your things in here, but they won't be closely watched, so the staff won't be responsible for them.
你中午休息的时候可以把东西留在会场，但是不会有人看，所以可能不要留贵重的东西。
And you can't stay in here in this part of the building. You can stay in the foyer.
然后你也没办法留在里面，可以在外面的地方。
And when you come back in, you're going to have to be scanned again, so make sure you carry with you whatever you took to get in here this morning.
然后下午在入场的时候，还是要请大家把你们的那个 QR 码准备好。
During breaks, there's washrooms on both floors. I think I forgot to tell you that yesterday, sorry.
洗手间在1楼跟2楼都有。
And the accessible washroom is on the first floor, so please leave that one available for accessible folks.
那么1楼的洗手间主要是给行动不便的朋友使用的，所以请大家尽量把那个空出来。
The tables in the foyer, there's the Lotus Outreach table, the help desk table.
那么在会场外面有联心基金会的桌子，然后也有询问台。
The help desk has instructors from Siddhartha's Intent, so if any of this seems baffling or interesting and you have a question about it, they're really good people to ask.
然后询问台有我们悉达多本院会的指导老师，所以有问题的话可以过去跟他们请教。
At the Khyentse Foundation table, they also have protection cords. These are cords that have been blessed by Rinpoche at a previous puja in Taiwan.
然后另外还有清哲基金会的一个桌子，然后那边有之前仁波切在台湾的佛顶尊胜佛母法会所加持过的金刚绳。
If you haven't received one at an earlier event, feel free to go up there and get one. Some people would like to wear it around their necks or on their wrist or put it on their shrine or whatever you like to do with it.
假如你还没有拿过的话，那么可以去清哲基金会的桌子拿一条。那假如拿过的话，就把机会留给别人，然后你可以戴在脖子上啊、手上啊，或者放在佛坛上都可以。
And finally, if you are interested in more activities about what Rinpoche is doing, what the organization is doing, you can find all of that on the Siddhartha's Intent website.
然后，假如你想要更了解仁波切的一些教学行程活动，还有过去的教学资源的话，可以到悉达多本院会的网站上。
Including recordings of the teachings yesterday and today, so you can watch again.
包括今天还有昨天的教学都会在网上。
I think that's everything. Am I forgetting anything? Does that make sense so far? All good? Okay. I invite you to wait until Rinpoche comes shortly.
So, yesterday, someone asked about free will and what's the opposite of free will? Predestined?
那么昨天有人问到关于自由意志还有注定这样的问题。
in all my life, I have to say, you know, I have been, well, of course, never thoroughly, but that is with a Buddhist text also. But I have to say, to really sort this problem of free will, predestined, fate, fatalism, luck. There is no philosophy or a theory I have so far found that is better than, well, generally Buddhism, and especially, like Abhidharma.
那么我这辈子读过的，当然我读的佛典也不是非常的透彻，但是在关于自由意志、天注定、命运还有幸运这些事情上面，我还没有看过比佛教，尤其是阿毗达摩解释的更好的。
I've even actually listened to a lot of discussions in the podcasts and, like panel discussions regarding this, because I was
谈关于这方面的主题，因为我很有好奇。
And I think it's very, very related to the aspiration. So I'm going to dwell on this a little bit.
那这个主题跟行愿其实很有关系，所以我会花点时间讲。
Because when we talk about aspiration, as I said yesterday, of course, you're always talking about something to do with the future, isn't it? May I be this, may they be this and that.
因为当我们讲到行愿发愿的时候，好像总是跟未来有关联，愿我如何如何，愿他们如何如何。
And actually, we stopped talking about bird's eye view, and remember we stopped at the point where we were aspiring to remember the lives. Basically, actually, temperature, like not only remembering the past lives, but just seeing the whole life, even the future ones.
那么昨天我们也讲到了要有一种鸟瞰的宏观视野。
Kind of, quite, what do you call it? You have to sort of make some prep, you have to get used to the logic a little bit with this one.
那么讲到这一点，你可能要去习惯它当中的逻辑。
And I want to dwell on this a little bit because the main ingredient of the Pranidhana Raja prayer is, of course, bodhicitta.
那么在这方面，我想要多说一点，因为普贤行愿品当中最重要的元素，当然就是菩提心。
The name of this aspiration is part of the name is Arya Pranidhana Raja. Arya means a sublime sort of sublime, something that is not ordinary. This name usually is given to like Arya Tara, Arya Manjushri, someone who has transcended all the mundane.
那么这部经它的名字里面其实有 Arya， 也就是殊胜、圣或是不凡的意思。那么通常这个 Arya 这个词汇用在像是在圣度母或者是圣文书之前，那么代表说他们已经超越。
But the text is also called Arya. So there is a reason for that, and that reason is because it contains the bodhicitta, so it is entitled to have the name Arya.
那么普贤行愿品它的名字当中其实也有圣这个字，那么原因就是因为它里面讲到菩提心，所以它当之无愧可以用圣这个字。
It is because of that, also towards the end, the prayer itself, it's because of that. Even if you don't read it, if you just keep that text on the shrine, and revere this, you have so much merit.
所以包括在普贤行愿品最后也讲说，就算你并没有真的去阅读普贤行愿品，你只是把它放在你的佛坛上，光是这样就有很大的福德。
Okay, going back to the question, free will and predestined and all that. You see, I think I'm going to just explain this a little bit, because whenever Buddhists talk about karma, they seem to always fall into two traps.
我们回到继续讲自由意志跟天注定这方面的事情，因为每次只要佛教徒讲到业这件事，他们好像都会掉入两个陷阱。
Sometimes they say, oh, it's my karma, what to do? See, fatalist.
他们有的时候想说啊，这就是我的业，还能做什么呢？这就是一种注定的心态。
Predestined.
一切都已经注定了。
Other times they say, oh, you should create good karma so that you will become this and that. So free will.
那么另外一些时候，他们会说，哦，你应该要做这样的事情，所以会有好的业报。那么这又变成了是自由意志。
So now the question is, which is the right one?
所以问题来了，到底哪一个是正确的呢？
Both are actually wrong.
其实两个都错的。
And this is important that you know this.
这一点我们要知道很重要。
And this is very related to bodhicitta, so I need to really carefully construct this one.
那么这跟菩提心很有关联，所以我必须要好好的来建构讲解。
And also I should say, this is what makes Buddhism so unique.
那么我也要说，这也是让佛教变得如此特别的原因。
But not that easy to understand this.
但是这并不容易理解。
I have got into trouble by teasing a monk in Thailand.
我之前还陷入了麻烦，因为我在跟一个泰国的和尚开玩笑。
Because in the Theravada tradition, they teach things like, they teach anatta, anicca, dukkha, anatta. Anatta means selfless.
因为在声闻称里面，他们会教导苦、无我，还有无常。那么无我就是代表 anatta 无我。
And selfless is this is the cream of the cream. If the teaching of the selflessness is not taught, the anicca and dukkha, that's a very pessimist and very doomsday teaching. You understand? Everything is impermanent, nothing gives you satisfaction. Who like to hear that?
那么讲到无我，它其实是最重要的，因为假如没有无我的这个观念的话，那么无常和苦听起来就是像很悲观，像末日的宣言啊，一切都是无常的，没有什么是完美的，这谁会想要听到这样的话呢？
So anatta is like really the most important, even in the Sarvakayana level.
所以无我 anatta 是最重要的，即使是在声闻乘的层面。
So there was this monk. I love always offer these alms. Monks go in the Theravada countries, they go begging. And that's the most, I don't know, for me, it's like the most inspiring, one of the most inspiring sight.
那么在声闻乘的这些国家，僧人他们都会去托钵乞食，那么仁波切都会供养他们。
So about 25 years ago, actually, the American ambassador was I think he was a Buddhist for Thailand.
大概25年前，美国在泰国的一个外交官，他好像是一个佛教徒。
Because I went to the embassy to get my visa.
因为我去大使馆要办我的签证。
And there's a long line, so I get up so early to line up.
然后很多人排队，所以我一早就起来去排队了。
And usually the monks go begging, early in the morning.
那么一般来说，这些僧人他们会一大清早就去乞
Like
食，
really early, like 6, like sunrise.
非常早，大概6点日升的时候。
And I was already there, and there was already few people lined up.
那我去排队的时候，已经有些人在排队了。
The embassy only opens something like 9.
大使馆大概要9点才开门。
And then suddenly there was some commotion.
然后突然间有一阵骚乱，
And then I see from one side, there's about 20 monks with a begging bowl, just very silently, that's what they do, silently, bare feet walking towards the embassy.
那么我看到从另外一头，有20个僧人非常安静的赤脚走来。
And suddenly the embassy gate opens with this incredible looking American Navy guard just opening the door, and the ambassador comes with all the offerings.
然后突然间，这个大使馆的门大开了，然后里面出来一个像是美国海军制服的一个人，然后手上拿着各式各样的供养物。
Anyway, this is just a sidetrack.
想离正题了。
So anyway, I do this. This is such a beautiful sight. But as always, I'm always trying to, tease people or stir people.
那么对我来说，这实在是一个美丽的景象，但是我还是总是习惯跟大家开玩笑。
And in Thailand and Burma, Sri Lanka, you would notice the lay people, farmers, the vendors, sellers. There's even a dedicated shop, a monk's arm shop, where you can actually buy packages, full offering, half offering, just a symbolic offering. You can.
那么在像是缅甸还有斯里兰卡这些地方，然后这些农夫啊或是商人，他们其实都可以到一般的一个这种就是专门供养的商店，你可以买整套的供养、半套的供养、象征性的供养等等。
And very ordinary poor people also, they offer a little bit of rice.
那么就算是比较贫困的人家，他们也可以供养一点米。
And the monks will, chant this very, very important sort of script, the part of the, Buddhist script.
然后这时候僧人就会念一小段非常重要的佛教经文。
Anyway, usually the monks don't talk.
那么通常这些僧人他们都不说话的。
But one day, this monk and I offered whatever, I had few fruits, and he knew sort of I was not native, so he spoke in English.
那么有一天，有一位僧人来了，然后我供养了他一些水果。那他知道我不是本地人，所以他开始跟我讲英文。
So that, repeated next day, and, sort of he began to know that I'm there. For,
然后接下来几天，他就知道我大家都会在那儿。
and then, this act is considered very meritorious, so people do this diligently.
那么这个行为是被认为是个善行，所以大家都很精进的去做。
So I asked him, he doesn't know I'm a Buddhist.
那么
I
他
sort of pretended I'm.
那么他不知道我是佛教徒，我只是乔装。
So I asked him, well, if the anatta is truth, that there is no self, that means yourself is not there, myself is not there. So who is accumulating the merit? What is merit? Who is gaining the merit?
于是我就问他说：“假如无我是真的话，那么也就没有你，也就没有我，到底是谁在积累福德呢？这福德在哪里？”
Well, that is sort of the end of our friendship. Anyway.
这大概就是我们友谊的结束。
So I want to, this is a kind of important. So I know some of you are quite jaded with this example. I'd say I have been telling, but for the sake of the new people, you need to bear this.
这点真的很重要。我知道当中有些人可能已经听腻了我接下来要给的这个例子，但是为了新进的朋友，你们肯定要忍耐一下。
Now, if you are having a nightmare
假如你在做一场噩梦，
of falling from a cliff,
从悬崖上掉下来，
there is the whole act of the beginning of the fall and the duration, the middle of the fall, and perhaps, breaking your hips or whatever.
那么整个过程有你刚开始坠落，然后坠落的中途，以及到最后有可能是你摔断了屁股啊、脚哪里。
And you'll be scared, you'll be panic, all of that. And those cannot be denied.
那么你会很担惊受怕，这是无可否認的。
And this period of falling till you are, landed on the ground, in this period, you can talk about karma.
那么这段时间，从你开始坠落，直到你掉到地上，你是足够来讲业这件事的。
Bad karma, good karma, just generally karma.
善业、恶业，就是一般总体来说是业。
In reality, though, you are just sleeping in your bed. You are not falling.
但是在现实生活中，你其实只是在床上睡觉而已，你并没有坠落。
So there is no beginning of the falling, the middle of the falling, and the end of the falling too.
所以其实并没有说你开始掉下来，然后你中间再掉下来，然后最后掉下来等等。
So can you see the not falling in the reality of not falling and the illusion of falling can be together?
所以你能够看到这一点吗？就是现实生活中的你并没有在坠落，和那个虚幻幻境当中的你在坠落，他们两个其实可以同时存在的。
So this is why to us Buddhists, regarding whether everything is a free will or, if you believe in free will, then you are actually basically saying the fall in the dream is not a dream, it's a real falling.
假如你
Or if you believe in predestined, same thing.
假如你问一个佛教徒说，到底这个自由意志是怎么一回事的话，然后你相信有自由意志的话，你就等于是在讲说，你在这个梦里面的坠落，不是假的，而是真的在坠落。
Yeah, so this is a little difficult. I think it will take some time to get used to this logic.
所以这可能需要花一点时间才能够适应这样的逻辑。
Anyway, short answer for this is Buddhist karma is neither free will nor predestined.
那么，假如要给一个简短的答案的话，就是佛教当中的业既不是自由意志，也不是天注定。
Sometimes it appears to have free will, other times it appears to be already fixed.
有的时候它看起来像是有自由意志的，有的时候看起来像是注定的。
Okay, I want to further go deeper into this now.
那么我现在要讲的更深一点。
Okay, now this approach is perhaps very Indian.
那么这样子的一个趋近解释方式，可能是很印度式的。
Although even the Western philosophy, even science, perhaps even though they may not package it this way, actually, I think it falls into this sort of category of, construction.
那么，即使是在西方的哲学或者是科学系统，他们即使不是用这样的方式包装，但是也大概是这样同样的类别的方式来解释。
Okay. Now, of course, we need to know that, like science, they've never really come to conclusion, which is one of the great thing about science.
那么我们必须了解到，所谓的科学，他们就是从来不会下结论。那么这也是科学很棒的一个原因。
Okay, so keep that in your head.
所以先记得这一点。
So that's quite good. They say, we are experimenting still. So far, it's like this. So far, Panadol seems to work, but who knows? Maybe it's going to harm us. Like that. It's always we are under experiment.
他们总是抱着一个实验的精神，讲说，目前为止这个止痛药是有用的，但是它也可能会对我们有伤害等等，就是抱着实验的一个心态。
Statement like this, people like Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, the great philosophers in Buddhism, they like this.
那么像这样子的一个言论，在佛教里面的一些伟大的哲学家，如龙树还有月琛，他们是非常喜欢听到的。
No argument with that one.
这方面没有任何的争论性。
Now, but then, habitually, okay, first let me present this one. The unique Indian way of constructing a theory.
那么首先，我先来讲一下，在印度，他们有一种很特别的来建构一种理论的方式。
I'm sorry, these are a little bit too technical for the new ones, but you sort of have to bear with this because we are, after all, discussing quite an important text, and I don't want to sort of wash it down and to something very, very simple. May all be happy, may all be not, free from unhappiness. It's much more than that.
不好意思，这样子的解释方式可能对新来的朋友们来说有一点枯燥生硬，但是因为这是一部很重要的经典，所以我不希望把它过于简化到成只是变成是说愿众生快乐，不要不快乐等等这样的程度。
So remember earlier I talked about this dream analogy?
所以
And this analogy demonstrates the Indian way of constructing a theory.
记得我之前给的这个关于做梦的例子吗？这个做梦的例子就代表了印度他们很特别的一个建立理论的方式。
As I give you the example, I'm talking about two things, ultimate and relative.
当我给你这个例子的时候，我讲的是两件事情：就近还有世俗。
Ultimately, you are not falling.
在就近的层面上，我们并没有在坠落，
But relatively, you are falling.
但是在相对世俗的层面上，我们是在坠落。
Now, this ultimate and relative, they are also not like one is in the east and one is in the west.
那么，所谓这个就近跟世俗，这两者也不是说一个在东，一个在西。
They are kind of, they are one.
他们其实是一者。
But also you can't really say they are one because you are actually not falling, but you appear to be falling also, right?
但是你也同样不能说他们两者是同一者，因为你并没有真的在坠落，但是你看似在坠落。
So for instance, if a scientist say about Big Bang, let's just talk about this Big Bang because perhaps it's easier for the, new people to relate.
那么，假如说现在科学家在讲大爆炸，可能新来的朋友比较可以了解这点。
If the scientists say Big Bang exists,
假如科学家说大爆炸是真实存在
I mean,
的，
if a scientist present Big Bang theory on the relative level, no problem at all with the Buddhists, no problem.
假如一位科学家他在世俗相对的层面上来讲大爆炸的话，那么佛教徒对这一点是没有任何问题的。
But if a scientist sort of develop the theory of Big Bang, ultimate level, then the Buddhists will think that Big Bang and the Almighty God has no difference. They're all wrong.
那么，假如说这个科学家他是在一个就近的层面上去讲大爆炸的话，那么对一个佛教徒来说，大爆炸跟一个全能的神其实并没有任何差别，他们两者都是错误的。
This is, you'll get used to you have to get used to this way of thinking, I guess.
我想你可能要开始习惯这样子的一个思考方式。
Again, I know nothing about Taoist teachings, but as I read some of the stanzas from the beginning, you can feel that they also think very similar. Like name that can be given is not a name. You're almost talking like the ultimate. But then comes all these names. So, like a relative.
那么，我对于道家的教法并不是非常的熟悉，但是他们似乎也有同样的一个说法。譬如说，在《道德经》一开始讲“名可名，非常名”，这就是一个比较就近的一个层面。但是后来他又给了很多很多的名相，那么那就回到了世俗的层面。
So now your question, okay, let's go back to the bird's eye view.
现在我们回去讲这个鸟瞰的宏观视野。
So what is this bird's eye view?
这个宏观视野是什么呢？
What we are praying is, when we fall, remember, we dream, we have a nightmare, we are falling now.
我们在祈愿的是什么呢？就是我们现在做了一个噩梦，然后我们正在坠落。
we are aspiring that at the least, okay, at the least, we are aspiring, may we know that we are dreaming.
我们发愿，至少我们要能够知道，我们是在做梦。
Because when you know that, then the beginning of the fall, the middle of the fall, all of this you see it with a bird's eye view.
因为当你知道的时候，当你开始坠落，或是你正在坠落，这一切过程你都能够用一种鸟瞰的宏观心态来看。
What does that do?
那么这有什么帮助呢？
Oh, it does a lot of things. Because if you know really that you are dreaming, you might just, oh well, let's just pause for a moment and let's just, I don't know, let's just explore the, if you are, falling from a building, you might want to just take this advantage of looking at through the windows of
这当然有
other
很
people.
这当然有很大的帮助，因为假如你知道你自己在做梦的话，那么你就可以花点时间暂停一下，然后假如说你是从高楼坠下，你就可以从每个窗户里面去看大家在干嘛。
Because, you're not going to break any limbs
因为反
anyway.
正你也不会摔断腿。
So see, this combination of this, what we call understanding the non-duality, is like the key of the aspiration, which in other words, the bodhicitta.
所以这样子的一个组合，也就是能够了解无二非二元性，那么这个就是行愿，同样也是菩提心的主要成分。
And in order to remember this, we have aspiration to always have revulsion towards the worldly life.
那么为了要能够时常意念这一点，我们就会发愿，我们要厌恶世俗的生活。
Okay, what is revulsion towards worldly life?
厌恶世俗的生活什么意思呢？
Of course, very, very, in a very general level, like getting addiction towards social media, I don't know, carpets, tables, stuff like that.
那么从一个非常一般的角度来讲，就是对于这个社交网络啊，然后地毯啊、桌子等等。
But most important level of revulsion
但是在最重要的层面上，这个厌恶是什么呢？
you are falling now again. Going back to the dream.
现在回到做梦，你现在正在往下掉，
As you fall,
你正在掉。
you are falling from the building,
你再从一个高楼往下掉，
from the 26th floor.
从第26层楼往下掉。
And by the 20th floor, where your friend is staying,
那么你掉到了第20层楼的时候，那边是你朋友住的地方。
and you pass your friend who's just smoking on the balcony.
你经过你的朋友，他正在阳台上抽烟。
If you scream, "Hey, I'm falling!" Yeah, that's you are fall. that's like, not being able to, what do you call it, have the revulsion towards mundane life because you are really screaming help.
那么，假如你一边往下掉，然后你一边在叫说啊，我在往下掉，然后你尖叫的话，这样子就代表你没有对世俗起厌恶心。
That's easy to understand.
那么这点很容易理解。
But if your friend says, "Hey, what are you doing?"
那假如你的朋友问你说你在干嘛？
If you say, "Well, nothing actually, I'm not really falling, you should try." That also is a falling to the revulsion. Because you are denying either relative truth or ultimate truth. This is such a big thing for Buddhists, not to be extreme. If you become, they use the word like you become nihilist or you become eternalist.
那么，假如说你跟你的朋友讲说，哦，我什么事也没有在做啊，就是往下掉，你也应该来试试看。那么这样子，其实你也是掉入了对这个，并没有对世俗轮回世间产生厌恶。为什么呢？因为你就否认了世俗谛还有圣义谛。所以对于佛教徒来讲，他们是很不喜欢落入极端的，他们不喜欢落入断见和常见之中。
Yeah. So here in this sentence, when we say, may I always have this renunciation mind. Yes, carpets, gold ring, whatever, of course the renunciation, but may I also have a renunciation, revulsion towards all values.
于是这边讲到说，我们应该总是保有出离心。是的，对金戒指啊、对地毯这些要有出离心很重要。但是另外很重要的是，我们要厌弃所有的价值。
Liberal values, fascist values, I don't know, just all values.
自由的价值、法西斯的价值、所有的价值。
That's difficult, much more difficult than carpet, I'm telling you.
那么这个比要厌弃地毯来的困难得多。
Because your value is your character. Character is so important.
因为你的价值就定义你的人格、个性，而这是多么的重要啊！
Like, yeah. Identity, these are, values. So may I always be able to renounce all my identity, values. That's what.
所以身份价值这边讲的就是愿我总是能够处理所有的身份价值。
And may I always be able to keep my ethics,
愿我总是能够保有我的道德，
discipline.
还有持戒。
Wow, that's a big subject.
这同样是一个很大的主题。
And I'm also wondering whether the English word ethic is actually doing the justice, translating the word shila or the tsultim, we call it tsultim.
那么人们也在想，这个英文的 ethics， 道德这个字是不是可以非常完整的去翻译 shila 或是 tsultim 这个字？
The Tibetan word tsul is something to do with the way, the truth.
那么在藏文当中 ，tsu 这个字是有点像是方法、道路，就是事实、实相。
Water is wet.
水是湿的，
That is the truth.
那就是一个事实。
That is the way of the water.
那个就是水的样子。
Outside is cold.
外面很冷，
If I pour this over me during the break, it's not really good idea.
假如我把水倒在我自己身上，在休息的时候，这可能不是个好的主意。
If I'm going out,
假如我要出门的话，
or even now,
甚至现在，
it's not a good idea. That's it. That is the core meaning of the Buddhist ethic. Anything that you go against the truth, that will only bring you misery, problems, disappointment.
那么这个其实就是佛教非常核心的道德标准。也就是说，假如说你违反了实相、真相的话，那么它只会带给你不幸还有失望。
Of course, may I always be, may I always be diligent in, not killing, not lying, not slandering, not, all of that. Of course, that's on the relative level.
那么当然，你也可以说，愿我可以永远都精进持戒，然后不要杀生，然后不要伤害别人。那么这是在一个世俗的层面。
It's, you need, that's, but just ethic, like especially in the Mahayana, ethic comes in sort of 3 categories.
那么在大乘佛教里面，道德这个好像是有3个种类分类，
Not harming others,
不伤害他人，
like killing, stealing,
像是杀生或是偷盗，
helping others, ethic of helping others,
帮助别人，
like I don't know, food, medicine,
食物、药物、
shelter,
庇护、
information.
资讯。
Now the third one, this is a very, very, unique for the bodhisattvas. I mean, generally Buddhists, but especially bodhisattvas.
那么第三点是对佛教徒来说特别的，尤其是对于菩萨们。
Ethic of helping others. I mean, not harming. Wait. Not harming others.
不伤害别人。
Oh, wait. Yeah. Not engaging into non-virtue. Yeah, sorry. I take back all the. Not engaging into non-virtue action. Yeah, that's one of the ethic. Like not killing, not stealing.
不做不善行，像是不要去杀生，不要去偷盗。
The second is engaging into virtuous actions such as giving, medicine, whatever.
刚才那个是第一点，然后第二点是去做善行，像是给食物啊、药品等等。
The third ethic is helping others. Now this is complicated.
而第三点是去帮助别人，那这一点就比较复杂。
What if by you killing somebody, if it helps a lot of people, what do you do then?
假如你杀了一个人，可以帮助很多人的话，那你要怎么做呢？
You see, so there's a lot of that category. Big study on that one.
所以有很多这方面的讨论跟研究。
Or by you lying to somebody or something, and you are saving lots of beings and planets. What then?
假如说
What
你
should Bodhisattva choose?
假如你说谎可以拯救很多众生或者是星球的话，那么身为一位菩萨该怎么做？
But of course, there's also the danger of you interpreting yourself that this will help. But that could be just your interpretation.
当然，还有一种危险是说你自己去诠释，认为说你这样做会有帮助，而那只是你自己的诠释而已。
So, anyway, may I always manage to maintain my ethic.
所以这一点刚才讲的就是愿我总是能够持守我的道德。
Oh, by the way, these are all the aspiration so that you will keep your bodhicitta intact.
那么所有的这些发愿都是为了要能够保有你的菩提心。
What does that mean?
什么意思呢？
Going back to our example,
回到我们的例子，
so that your understanding and experience of falling and not falling together, this knowing this is intact.
也就是说，你对于坠落和没有坠落这两者的理解还有经验是能够保守的。
And okay, the next one is in order to enhance this bodhicitta, keep this bodhicitta, may I utter the teachings of the Buddha in different language.
那么，为了要能够增强这个菩提心，愿我能够用不同的语言来说法。
Yeah, that's a big one for the bodhisattvas.
那么这一点是对菩萨来说非常重要的。
Not just to human beings, to the gods, to the insects.
那么不只是对人，而是对天人、对昆虫。
Have the aspiration to teach to just every beings in different language.
发愿能够用不同的语言来教导众生。
Among many other, of course, I mean, of course, you understand. It's a virtuous action. It's a virtuous deed to share Dharma to ordinary people. Of course, you understand that.
那么你当然能够理解，假如说能够将佛法分享给一般人的话，这绝对是个善行。
But I think it's much more than that.
但是我们现在讲的是超过这样子的。
When you try to explain this, the whole the bodhicitta, for instance, Mahayana teachings.
那么，当你试着要解释菩提心或是大乘的这些教法的时候，
Not only when we say different language, we are not only talking as the language as in, Chinese, English, but just different, way of communicating.
我们这边讲的言语或是语言，并不只是限于中文、英文等等，而是各式各样的沟通方式。
Because for each beings have a different values, different thinking.
因为每一位有情，他们都有不同的价值，还有思考方式。
How would you teach these ancient Mexican Mayans who, they have this game, they play this game, and the winner gets the honor of having his head being chopped.
像是你要怎么样向一位在古代的墨西哥玛雅人来解释呢？他们会玩一种游戏，就是赢家他们的头会被砍下来。
How do you talk to them?
你要怎么和他们说法？
You need a different language.
你需要另外一种语言言语。
Communication is difficult, right?
沟通是件困难的事。
Okay. Then also, when we talk about the aspiration to utter the aspiration to teach to different beings with a different language, we are aspiring to share the information of 6 parameters.
那么还有一点就是，我们要发愿，可以用不同的语言去教导众生，然后跟他们分享关于6波罗蜜的资讯。
And for the person who is doing the aspiration, it helps to strengthen this ability to remember the bodhicitta or the teachings.
那么对于在发愿的这个人，要能够加强，然后兼顾他自己的菩提心，可以让他的这个教导分享的能力可以变得更好。
Okay. Next, aspiring to purify all the non-virtuous actions, non-virtuous deeds and its impact.
那么接下来是发愿能够净化所有的非善行，还有他们的果。
This is again very big subject, virtue and non-virtue. What makes something non-virtuous? I think the easiest way for you to understand is anything that takes you further from the truth, such as anatta.
那么这又是一个很大的主题，到底什么是善行，什么是不善行、非善行呢？那么我想一个比较简单，让大家可以了解的方式，就是任何把你带离实相，如无我这样子的事情，就是非善行。
So, for instance, like harming others. Usually we harm others because we have self-cherishing or clinging to oneself.
所以像是伤害他人这样的例子，一般假如我们伤害别人的话呢，是因为我们有自我珍视，然后非常自私这样子的一个想法。
And clinging to the self definitely is one of the key, actually the key cause to distract you from the truth.
而对自我产生执着，这绝对是一个让你偏离实相最主要的一个原因。
And then also having aspiration to purify obscurations.
那么另外，你也会发愿要能够净化所有的障碍、障难。
Okay, this is again a very big subject when we talk about obscurations.
那么讲到障碍、障难，这也是一个很大的主题。
Usually, the obscurations are sort of the impact or the result of the negative deeds, actions.
那么一般讲到障碍、障难，通常都是恶行所产生的一个影响还有后果。
But they can also, in turn, become the cause of the negative actions.
那么障难本身也可以成为是非善行他们的因。
So many different obscurations, but let's discuss just 3, for instance, wrong view, pride, and doubt.
那么有各式各样的障难，我们现在就拿3点出来讨论。第一个是邪见，也就是非正见，然后第二个是，sorry, what's the second one?
Wrong view, pride, and doubt.
第二个是骄傲，第3个是怀疑。
These 3 sort of stands out among many other, many obscurations. These 3, sometimes even jealousy. These are some of the most difficult to challenge.
那么在种种障碍之中，这3点似乎是特别突出的。那么有的时候也包括了嫉妒心。
Okay, pride.
我们现在来讲骄傲。
Pride is actually opposite of confidence in this case we are talking about.
那么在我们现在所讨论的例子当中，骄傲自大其实是自信的相反。
And also, when we talk about pride, you are always referring to someone else. You are always comparing with someone else.
然后，当我们讲到骄傲自傲的时候，你总是在跟他人所比较。
Confidence is not necessarily referring to someone.
而自信并不一定是跟别人有关系。
Like, I'm a human,
像是我是一个人，
but I'm much better than so and so.
我比某某人来得好。
That's more like a pride.
这就比-
This is very, very general level.
那么这就是骄傲，这是一个非常普遍的层面来讲。
I think when we talk about pride, that's what we are talking.
当我们在谈到骄傲自傲的时候，我们在讲的就比较像是这样子的事。
But from Mahayana's point of view, there is a much more subtle pride.
但是从大乘的角度来看，有一种更细微的骄傲。
Even for the time being, it's necessary, but you also need to know, even you aspiring for enlightenment can be a pride.
因为即使是你现在你发愿要得到证悟，这样子也可以算是一种骄傲。
But some of this pride, we need it as a fertilizer.
但是我们需要其中当中这样子的一些骄傲，当做是养分。
Just all duality is a pride.
所有
We are talking on a very, very high level.
从一个非常高的层面来讲，所有的二元都是一种骄傲。
Basically, you can also say pride is the big ingredient, big part of the pride is also insecurity.
那么你也可以说，骄傲的很大的一部分的成员，一个原因就是因为不安，
Also, something to do with you haven't made up your mind, you know,
因为
that element is there.
你还没有确定你的心意有这样子的一个成分在，
You haven't come to a conclusion,
你还没有下到一个结论，
but you are pretending that you have come to a conclusion.
但是你假装你已经有结论了。
That is what pride is usually.
通常这个就是骄傲是什么？
Yeah, insecurity, basically.
一种不安全感。
So, okay, so that's pride. And it is too many information, but for now, pride. And then
以上就是关于骄傲，有太多资讯了。接下来我们继续讲
doubt.
怀疑、疑
Now,
心。
this is a challenging obscuration
那么这是一个非常充满挑战的一个障碍，
because it's also it can be a necessary tool.
因为这有的时候也是一个必要的工具。
Even Buddha himself said, you should analyze my teachings. You should not take things for granted, so on and so forth.
即使佛陀自己都说，你们应该要分析我的教法，你不应该就直接去接受等等的。
So doubt can be a big part of the path. It is kind of helpful.
所以疑心同样也可以是道途上很重要的一环，有的时候会有帮助。
But if you give in too much to the doubt, and if you put too much emphasis on doubt, like critical thinking, like critical thinking, this is something that we modern people cherish.
但是假如说你太过于有疑心的话，然后你非常去怀疑的话，那么这是我们现代人很喜欢做的一件事。
Then it does not again lead you anywhere.
太多的这样的分析，它并不会带你去任何地方。
And it gets worse by combining with the pride.
更糟糕的是，假如说你把这个疑心跟骄傲合并在一起，
So a lot of so-called critical thinking, analytical thinking, critical thinking, I don't know, lot of people who think that that's who they are, they usually have a pride, meaning they already have a conclusion.
因为很多所谓的这种分
Or,
析，
I mean, they pretend.
很多这种喜欢去分析，然后去理智思考的这些人，他们通常也都有一种骄傲在，因为他们已经有一个，他们假装他们已经有结论了。
I don't know. Well, they think they have they are very sure that they have a conclusion.
他们很确认他们已经有了结论。
So basically what I'm saying is it never becomes a proper critical thinking because you already have decided.
所以它其实并不是真的是一个很分析式的一个思考方式，因为你已经有结论了，
You are only trying to find a fault, so to speak.
你只是想要找出错误在哪而已。
Yeah, this is one obscuration because this kind of thinking will never, Anyway, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. What really stops you from going out of the box? These three.
那么疑心这真的是一个很大的障碍。然后我刚才忘了讲，到底是什么让我们没有办法跳出框架呢？就是这3点。
Let's say you are an artist.
假如你是位艺术家，
You want to go out of the box.
你想要跳出框架，
What stops you? Pride, doubt, and wrong view.
那么是什么让你没办法跳出框架呢？就是你的骄傲、你的怀疑，还有你的邪见。
Because of your pride, you will always want to be, I don't know, accepted also. It's complicated.
因为你的骄傲，你总是会希望被接受，这点很复杂。
These three are very complicated emotion or that's why it's called obscuration. Dipa, non-virtue, or akushala, non-virtue, sin, I guess, and dipa is obscuration, because it makes things unnecessarily so complicated.
所以这是为什么这3点是障难，然后是非常大的烦恼，因为它的意思字面的意思其实就有非善，然后就是这三点是非常复杂的。
Okay, the worst one
最糟的一点是
is the lokta, wrong view.
是错误的见地邪见。
That's, you know, doubt, pride, it still does not, it's a bit like, what do you call it? This is the classic example. It's a bit like strong wind. Let's say if you are planting a flower, like a typhoon or big wind may unsettle the growth of the flower.
那么给一个很经典的例子，就是假如你今天要种花，然后突然间来了一阵强风、台风，然后就让种花这件事没办法顺利。
But the wrong view, that is like burning the seed of the flower, no more flower.
但是邪见就像是你直接把种子给烧掉，完全没有花了。
Now, the wrong view, this is big.
邪见是一个很大的主题。
And this, we may think, oh, that, you know, it shouldn't really happen to me, but it's not true. It happens so easily.
你们可能会想，哦，这不会发生在我身上，但这不是真的，因为这很容易发生。
I mean, for now, we can only, you know, for the Buddhists, you know, practitioners, followers, we can, I guess, we can sort of suffice by thinking, oh, you know, I believe in karma, I believe in cause and condition and effect. I don't really believe that there's somebody who creates everything. You know, that much kind of a right view we have.
那么，身为一位佛教徒或者修行人或者佛陀的追随者，你可以想说，哦，对，我相信有业，然后有因缘果，我不相信有一个全能的造物者，这样子的正见我们是有的。
But not being able to really accept the whole shunyata, it proves that there is lots and lots of wrong view in us.
但是没有办法去接受空性，就证明了我们当中其实有非常多的邪见。
Yeah, and this really happens a lot.
就很常发生。
And yeah, it's a difficult one. Anyway, you know, for the Mahayana, the answer is not having conviction towards a dualistic view. That's a wrong view.
那么对于大乘佛教来说，假如说对 having conviction to
the wrong view, such dualistic view.
假如说对于二元是有很大的信心的话，那么这也是一个错误的见地。
And I underline the word conviction. When I say conviction, you know, we all have dualistic habit, of course, but not necessarily wrong view. It's just your habit. But through study, through analysis, through hearing and contemplation, and you still think something is permanent, something truly exists, then seed is burnt.
那么，并不是所有的二元都是这个邪见。我刚刚特别强调信心的原因，是因为假如说你在于文思修，然后分析学习之后，你还认为说真的有个事情是真实存在、是永恒存在的话，那么这个就是你把种子都完全烧掉了。
Falling into extreme, we call it.
落入极端。
Okay, then. Aspiration to be free from karma, emotion,
发愿能够从业以及烦恼当中解脱，
and kind of Mara demon, I guess you can call it.
从魔障当中解脱。
Of course, we are not talking about some externally existing demon.
当然，我们在讲的不是一个外在存在的魔。
I think this is going to elaborate later, so I'm going to continue with the stanza.
我们等一下会讲的多一点，所以我会继续讲这个寄颂。
Anyway, the aspiration is divided into two. These aspirations are mainly for the bodhisattva of the beginning level.
那么发愿可以分成两个部分，那么这主要是对新进的新的菩萨们。
Okay, then aspiring to perfect what we call Buddha field.
那么接下来是发愿能够圆满佛刹土。
Perfecting the Buddha field is this is something you will find in the Mahayana Sutras.
那么你在大乘的经典当中会看到有圆满佛土这样子的一个说法。
Basically, having aspiration that you will have your own Buddha field where other sentient beings can have aspirations to go or to be reborn.
基本上讲的就是你要发愿能够有自己的一个佛土，而这个佛土是其他的有情众生可以他们发愿也要投身去那个地方。
Those who like Chinese, you will know the whole phenomena about Pure Land.
那么华人们可能会知道这一点，就是关于净土。
In fact, like in Japan and China, I think, and Korea also, it even became almost like a tradition, a school. They even call it Pure Land School.
那么在像是日本、中国、韩国这些地方，净土基本上像是一个传统了，他们称之为净土宗。
So I went to the head of the Pure Land School, the monastery in China a few years ago.
那么几年前，我去中国一个净土宗的一个寺院。
As I enter they were giving us pamphlets because, for all the tourists, you get the pamphlets that has the explanation.
那么你进去的时候，他会给所有的游客一个简短的一个介绍。
It says Amitabha, something Amitabha, and anyway, Buddhist heaven.
然后上面有写着阿弥陀佛，然后佛教的天堂。
I guess you remember earlier we talked about how you have to learn to communicate to different beings with a different language. I guess even though the word heaven sort of annoyed me, I thought, yeah, why not?
记得我们之前有讲到说，我们要学会用不同的语言跟不同的有情众生沟通吗？所以即使天堂这个词让我感觉有点不悦，我想啊，也算了吧。
But then as I went in,
我走进去的时候，
The temple itself is one of the most beautiful temple. It's so beautiful.
这个寺院本身实在是非常的美丽。
And then all these Chinese characters, they have these characters written, the ancient sort of calligraphy. And I have quite a good translator with me. So I've made him translate quite a lot of them, like read on the spot.
那么在墙上有很多古老的中国的书法，那我身边刚好有一个很好的翻译，所以我又请他翻译了大部分。
And I was thinking, like, if only they just translate some of these and put it on the brochure.
我心里想说，假如他们就把这些东西翻译了一下，然后放在那个宣传小册子上。
But I understand because some of the contents of the Pure Land is maybe not that easy to digest for people.
但是我也能够理解，因为净土中的里面一些内容，其实不是很多人可以很容易理解的。
Anyway, since this is kind of remember it is mentioned again and again several times that those whoever does this, they will enter into the land of the Amitabha.
那么记得吗？在普贤行愿品里面提到过很多遍，任何念这个普贤行愿品的人，他们可以去到西方极乐世界阿弥陀佛净土。
Migrating is such a thing for sentient beings.
转移、搬家、搬迁，对于有情来说，实在是一件很大的事。
You can just see it if you walk around in Robson Street.
就你光是在 Robson 街上走走，你就可以看出来了。
This is one of the human beings sort of, Buddhists call it klesha. It's like an emotion, right? Grass is always greener on the other side.
那么这对佛教徒来说，就像是一种烦恼，那一种染污，因为总是别人的是比较好的。
It just exists from from the dualism started.
那么只要有二元，就有这一点。
Going somewhere,
要去哪里？
a better place,
一个更好的地方，
like the Wild West,
那个大溪荒漠，
land of dream,
梦想之地。
whatever, and but of course, for different people, there are different, what is it? Land.
当然，这是因人而异的，对每个人来说有他们不同的地方。
For Good Jeff, he had a different land.
对于 Good Jeff 来说，他有一个他自己的地方。
For I've said this actually to some people, and I want to mention this here. This is how the Mahayana's Pure Land works. I will give you an example.
我之前曾经跟一些人提过，那我这边会再讲一次，这就是为什么大乘的净土是有作用的。我给一个例子。
Usually, when you go somewhere, there's always an aim.
通常你要去一个地方，你都会有个目标。
I don't know, for a job interview or to pick up some package or to see a museum or something like this.
可能你要去应征工作，然后你要去拿包裹，去博物馆等等。
Or to meet your uncle, I don't know, like always, or to actually settle there.
去看你的叔叔，然后是去哪里安定下来等等。
Okay, I'm talking kind of a very profound level, so be prepared.
我在从一个很深奥的角度来讲，所以准备好了。
And I'm just giving you some sort of the atmosphere of the when they talk about pure, sort of the ingredient, one of the ingredient, atmosphere.
那么他们这边讲到了这个净土，我只是希望给大家讲到净土的一点这个成分和氛围。
After this session,
在我们今天这个讲座之后，
if you just walk on whatever the road and just go,
不管你走在哪条路上，
doesn't matter where you reach,
不管你要去哪里，
you have nothing to do,
你没有
nothing to, there is no place to reach.
你没有一个要去做的事情，你并没有一个要去抵达的地方。
If you have to have an object, an aim,
只要你一定要有个目标的话，
maybe how about North Vancouver just to blow your nose?
那么你可以去北温，只是为了去那边擤鼻涕。
Upon reaching there, blow nose and come back.
到了北温之后，擤了鼻涕，然后就回来。
I bet you this will be the most blissful trip.
我保证你，这会是你有过最喜悦、快乐的一趟旅程。
Because, blowing nose is not that a big deal, right?
因为去擤鼻涕不是件大的事啊。
Upon reaching there, you can really blow it ceremoniously if you want.
你到了北温之后，你可以整个用仪式去擤鼻涕。
And actually, if you really want to do it, kind of, with a proper ritual,
只要你想用一个正式的仪式去做的话，
maybe not today, but tomorrow, let's say,
也许不是今天，也许明天，
get up tomorrow in the morning and put on your best dress,
明天一早起来，然后穿你最好的衣服，
as if you are going for the most important job interview.
像是你要去最重要的一个工作面试。
Iron your napkins. This is in preparation for the, blowing nose.
然后带着你的纸巾，因为这是你要去擤鼻涕的准备工作。
Make really big fuss about this, ironing.
盛大旗鼓的来做这件事情，烫衣服。
Yeah, then just, I don't know, go take taxi or walk, take boat.
坐计程车、走路、坐船。
And of course, for the benefit of all sentient beings, of course.
当然要记得是为了利益众生。
And you reach there,
当你到达后，
North Vancouver,
当你到了北温，
place where you will place where you will forever depart from your snot.
你到了北温，那个就是你将和你的鼻涕说永久再见的地方。
I'm giving you, this is actually really, even though I'm trying to make it a little like this, watered down, but this is actually the very important aspect of the pure realm.
即使我现在是用一个非常浅薄的方式跟大家讲，但是其实这是净土当中非常重要的一环。
But I understand, because many people, when they read the pure realm description, they get distracted by these birds that speaks.
我能够理解，是因为很多人在读净土宗的这些经典的时候，他们会被这些会说话的鸟儿给吸引。
Swimming pool.
游泳池，
Oh, the very important pure realm description. Like if the ground is supposedly, like if you press, it sinks, and if you let go, it comes up, like a sofa seat.
那么关于净土有一个很重要的一个描述，就是他们的大地就好像是你踩下去，它又会弹起来，跟沙发一样。
Many of these prayers were written several hundred years ago when only very, very, very small amount of people can afford sofa seat.
那么这些祈愿文都是几千年前写的，很少人的时候可以买得起沙发。
And just imagine if all the birds start to talk. I don't think you will have much of a good day.
想象，假如突然间所有的鸟都开始讲话的话，我不相信你会非常喜欢。
But please, read the Amitabha Pure Land, sutras, just so beautiful.
但是
But you have to think this context.
所以，请大家去念净土的这些佛经。那么，但是你要从这样的角度去思维，
It's so beautiful, actually.
非常的优美。
There's even a mention, if you do doubt, about pure realm.
甚至他有提到说，假如说你对于净土产生怀疑，
There's a degree of doubt, right?
有不同程度的怀疑
A，little doubt about the pure realm.
一点点怀疑，
You may reborn in the Amitabha realm, in the lotus. Usually they are always reborn in the lotus, but the lotus will not blossom right away.
只要你有一点点怀疑的话，那么你会投身到这个莲花，但是这个莲花不会马上开。
Yeah, these descriptions are just so profound. It's just, you need to communicate with the ordinary people. So that's how they communicate.
这些描述实在是非常的深奥，因为你必须要和凡人沟通，所以这就是他们沟通的方式。
And so anyway, there's that aspiration. May I perfect the Buddha realm.
所以就有这样子的发愿，愿我能够圆满佛土。
Yeah, so when I say, may I perfect the Buddha realm, just think about the blowing nose, then probably it will make a little sense.
所以当我讲到说愿我圆满佛刹土的时候，请思维一下擤鼻涕这件事情，那么你可能就懂了。
Of course, you can still think about talking birds, swimming pool, all of that. Yeah, whatever, beautiful things, trees, the mountains, the lake, and the turquoise, all of that.
当然，你还是可以去想鸟啊、山啊、湖泊啊等等的所有这优美的一切。
Okay, then now may I always wear the armor. May I always wear armor
愿我总是能够穿戴装甲、盔甲，
the armor of entering into the Mahayana path.
进入大乘法道的装甲、盔甲。
Armor of never giving up,
永不
accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom.
穿戴这个盔甲，所以我永远不会去放弃要累积福德还有智慧。
Armor of never stopping to liberate sentient beings.
永不停止要去度化解脱众生。
Okay, so anyway, the word armor is sort of symbolic, but really talking about not feeling exhausted or losing inspiration.
那么盔甲这个词是一个象征性的，意思就是说永远不会感到疲累，然后不会不受启发，
Not to become lethargic,
不会感到厌烦、累，
not to become discouraged. I
不
think.
会受到，不会失落。
The reason why we get discouraged is because we are not well versed, or we are not we don't have enough understanding of wisdom and method, for instance.
那我们之所以会感到气馁、失落的原因，很多时候是因为我们并不能够完全了解智慧还有方便。
Okay, so there's many examples given. For instance, when a bodhisattva got so exhausted and discouraged because it's taking so long.
所以有很多例子，当一个菩萨，假如他感到非常的疲倦，然后气馁，因为这实在花太多时间了。
Buddha giving encouragement by saying that the time is totally an illusion.
这时候佛陀就鼓励这位菩萨，时间只是幻象。
That bodhisattva must benefit sentient beings, just like how a mother who has one child dreams that the child is drowning in a river.
那么，一位菩萨要如何去帮助众生、利益众生呢？就像是一个妈妈，她梦到她的这个小孩正在溺水。
Mother will not think twice, but immediately jump in the river to save.
那么这个妈妈绝对毫不犹豫的就会跳到水里面去救她的孩子。
But with the bodhisattva, one who is adorned with the wisdom will also know that this is just a dream.
但是对一位菩萨而言，他有了智慧，所以他也会知道这一切不过是一场梦。
Yeah, so these are the sort of few of the reasons talking about armor that a bodhisattva must wear.
所以刚才就是一些原因，为什么菩萨要穿戴这个盔甲。
Maybe we can now, you can ask some questions. I believe there's many questions, online questions or something like that.
我们现在开放提问。
And then later I will continue
接下来
this afternoon.
之后，我们下午会再继续讲。
Shall we start with an online question?
Yes, please.
Do you want to have in-house as well, or just online?
Online.
The first question is, what is the last thought we should aspire to at the moment we die as a Mahayana Buddhist?
那么第一个问题是说，身为一位大乘行者，在我们死前，我们应该要发愿，我们最后的一个念头是什么？
There's many, but I think one of them is actually what we just spoke, entering into the Buddha field.
那么有许多念头你都可以发愿，但是其中一个就是我们刚才提到的，就是能够进到国土。
That could mean really thinking about the Amitabha Buddha.
进到佛土，那么这可以包括像是思忆阿弥陀佛，
And Amitabha Buddha realm,
阿弥陀佛的西方极乐世界，
and have the aspiration to be reborn there at all costs for the benefit of all sentient beings.
发愿能够投身到西方极乐世界，以为了利益众生。
On the more profound level, realizing that the Amitabha Buddha realm is not somewhere out there, but here, this moment, this very place.
那么再更深奥的一点讲，就是发愿能够去了解阿弥陀佛净土，并不是一个外在存在的地方，而是此时此刻就在这里。
Yeah. Do you want to ask the question?
Sure. Yeah. 是这样。在佛教的经典里面，比如像《无量寿经》里面，以及仁波切提到的 Pure Land，西方极乐世界，有一些修持的方法，就是去想象，然后最终 eventually 你可以到那里。但是佛教也会跟你说，法尚可舍，何况非法。就是好像法尚且可以舍弃，何况是非法。就是说要去摒弃这个修炼的过程当中，需要摒弃所有的这个二元对立。那么相信西方极乐世界和不相信是不是一种二元对立呢？应该怎么样去看？
So the question is, in different Buddhist sutras, there are practices about aspiring to enter the pure land, but in the sutras, it also says that we should abolish all dualism. So how should we treat whether there is pure land or not, and how should we look at it?
Yeah. As I said, the dream, during the dream, remember, there's the beginning, and all of that, yet it's not there, it's there. So this juggle, this understanding of this relative truth and ultimate truth, if you can accept that, then all this works.
记得仁波切刚才讲的那场梦吗？就是在一开始，还有中途等等的。假如说你能够同时理解、接受世俗谛还有圣义谛的话，那么这一切你都就可以接受了。
Otherwise, yes, it sounds like there's a just continuous contradiction all the time.
不然的话，听起来就像是总是有不同的矛盾。
As I asked to that monk, Anatta, why do we offer alms?
就如同仁波切问那一位僧人的问题，既然是无我，我们何必要布施呢？
Okay, we have a question from a philosopher in Germany. The pride, doubts, and wrong views you criticize seem to be similar to dualism, criticism, and conception, which are, however, fundamental aspects of philosophical work. Does that mean I have to give up philosophy in order to be a true Buddhist?
问题是说，刚才你所批评的骄傲、还有怀疑、还有邪见，这听起来好像就是这个哲学的一个基底。问问题的人是一个来自德国的哲学家，那么这是不是代表我要放弃哲学呢？
Yes.
是的。
But you will also have to give up being Buddhist later, so it doesn't really matter.
但是之后你也必须要放弃身为一位佛教徒，所以其实没有关系。
Okay, again, one more.
Rinpoche spoke yesterday about renunciation, how to practice renunciation without falling into nihilism.
那么仁波切提到了出离心，我们要如何修持出离心，而不陷入一种虚无主义。
Okay, I will go back to my example of dreaming.
我回到这个做梦的这个例子。
Here, you need to know the real renunciation is really knowing that when you fall, you are actually not falling.
那么真正的出离心其实是知道了解你在以为你在掉落坠落的时候，你并没有在坠落。
That's why I said, when you fall, if you scream, you are falling into scream and not knowing that this is a dream. That is nihilism.
这是为什么我说，当你在坠落的时候，假如你尖叫的话，那么你就掉入了这个虚无主义。
Yes.
When you make an aspiration, are you in essence aspiring to change or to accept?
当你发心的时候，你其实是在发愿要做改变，还是要接受？
I think both.
两者
actually.
都是。
Accepting the true Buddha, your Buddha nature, and changing in the context of undoing the cocoon that is wrapping your Buddha nature.
你接受你自己的佛性
Yes, please.
然后愿意改变那些绑住你佛性的东西。
Rinpoche, thank you for your beautiful teachings. From my perception, my karmic perception, when I hear you, for me it's always like in one sentence, yes and no, and in the same time it's not contradictory. And my question is about renunciation and discipline. You said renunciation mean renouncing all the views, but discipline, there is a view, there is a morality. So how in the same time actually renounce on the view and follow the morality?
所以我的问题是关于出离心还有持戒。那么出离的话是要出离所有的见地，但是持戒的话那边还是会有个见地，所以要怎么样两者一起修持？
I'm glad that you guys are asking this. It's just as how I teach that monk.
我很开心你们问这些问题，因为觉得像是我在取笑那个和尚的方式。
This is what you need to get used to with the Mahayana concept of relative truth and ultimate truth.
因为你必须要理解，这个就是大乘关于世俗谛还有圣义谛的方式。
I think what you need to know is this. Until you know you are dreaming, you will always be panicked.
直到你了解你在做梦的那一天，你总是会担惊受怕。
It doesn't matter. You are peacefully sleeping on your bed, but you will still be in panic.
即使你是在你的床上非常安详的睡着，但是你还是会担惊受怕。
As long as you have panic, path is valid.
只要你有这份惊吓，那么道途就是需要的。
As long as you are dreaming, somebody sort of, waking you up is valid.
只要是你还在做梦，那么要有一个人来把你叫醒，这个就是可以成立的。
In reality, somebody waking you up is not helping you at all in getting rid of this real problem, because there was never a real problem.
那么实际层面来讲，有人把你叫醒，其实并没有帮你解决问题，因为从头到尾问题就不存在。
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for your teaching, Rinpoche. You mentioned being an artist, and I was thinking, as an artist, when you go to your work, you would want to bring right view, and I was thinking about the Buddhist idea that you have the highest view, high as the sky, but fine as sampa flower, your actions. But if, hypothetically, Allen Ginsberg, if you were still alive today, were to ask you, when I go to my writing desk, what should I do when I sit down other than right view? Would there be, when I start to write, during writing, and when I end my writing session? Thank you.
Okay.
那么问题是说，我是想要一位艺术家，那么就要保有正见。那么也有这句话是说，你的见地要广如天空，但是行止要细如粉末。那么假如今天 Allen Ginsberg 坐在这边问仁波切说，我在写作的时候，在桌子前面，我要保持什么样的一个见地？仁波切会怎么回答？
Again, very connected to so relative bodhicitta. Remember, I think we talked yesterday. It doesn't matter what you do, whatever you do, even mundane things like waking up in the morning. May it somehow lead me to awaken myself and others. I think that is the fundamental and the easiest.
那么就像昨天提到的，世俗菩提心，不管我做什么事情，就算只是早上醒来，那么希望它都可以用某种方式让我自己证悟，也可以帮他人证悟，这是最简单的。
I think right now, because I'm just giving you a sort of a summary of this chapter, which really has everything there. So maybe it's confusing you people a little bit.
那么现在，因为我只是给大家讲一个这个总括来讲，所以对大家来说可能会有点难懂。
This is very big. I mean, it's a very profound level.
这是一个非常深广大的一个教法。
Yes, in one sense, it talks about no time.
是的，他一方面讲说没有时间。
If no time, how does the aspiration work?
假如没有时间的话，那么发愿要怎么起作用呢？
As I said right at the beginning today, aspiration always has something to do with in the future.
如同我今天一开始所讲的，发愿行愿好像总是跟未来是有关联的。
Yeah, but time and again in these stanzas, this is dealt with.
但是在某些寄颂里面，他总是一再的会去处理这件事。
For instance, it says you should prostrate to the Buddhas of the future.
像是你应该对未来佛礼敬。
Now.
现在应该对他们礼
How do
敬。
you do that?
你怎么去
I'm
做
here
呢？
and they're, about to come in the future. How do I do that?
我现在在这里，但是他们还没到，我要怎么去做？
These are Mahayana's incredible method of trying to really, basically, trying to stir our normal way of thinking.
那么这个就是大乘特别的这些方便方法，能够来搅乱我们一般的思维方式。
Okay? Yeah?
Hello, Rinpoche. For the past few years, one thought that's become really prominent in my mind is that free will is an illusion. And whenever I start thinking in terms of absolute reality, my mind seems to naturally gravitate towards nihilism. And I've been cautioned, or in the teachings I've heard many cautions against nihilism. But from my perspective, nihilism is not untrue. And if it's not untrue, can it be used as a valid tool in my spiritual process?
那么就过去几年，我一直在思考自由意志这件事情。那么在想到究竟实相的时候，我总是会变得比较虚无主义，落入断见。从我的经验来说，断见并不是不真实的。那么我可不可以用断见或是虚无主义来作为道途的一个工具？
Actually, nihilism as a habit, we all have.
那么虚无主义作为习惯来讲，我们都有。
That's why we get depressed, for instance.
这是为什么我们会忧郁。
Also, we are also by habit eternalist.
但是习性上，我们也是有永久主义的倾
That's
向。
why we also get ridiculously hopeful.
这也是为什么我会抱有希望，
So that's always there.
所以总是会在的这两者。
What you don't want is a nihilism as a result of, classic Mahayana languages, result of an analysis.
但是你不想要的是，因为分析之后，然后有虚无主义变成是一个后果。那么这是很经典的大乘的语言。
Because if you so you analyze, is it, like through your logic, through, scientific tool, and then come to a conclusion nothing exists. That is dangerous.
所以你透过逻辑、科学分析等等的，然后你得到的结论是说没有东西任何存在，那么这样是危险的。
Yeah, again, going back to the dream example,
回到做梦的例子，
when you fall, you will be afraid.
当你坠落的时候，你会害怕。
Even though in reality you are not falling. We
其实
always go back to that.
其实现实中你并没有在坠落。
Now the thing is this, the interesting thing is, if you analyze, let's say,
有趣的是，假如你分析它，
then if your analysis is good, then you may say, oh, I'm just dreaming. You just, that's good.
假如你去分析的好的话，那么你就会说，哦，我只是在做梦，这样很好。
But let's say, by analyzing, and you come to a conclusion that I'm trying to remember the Nagarjuna's, Chandrakirti's words, but so if you say that you have never dreamt, you never had that nightmare, then that's a nihilism.
假如说你是透过分析，然后你有了一个结论，然后我试着想回忆起月晨的语言，然后你说我从来其实没有去做梦，或是做过这个噩梦的话，那么这也是虚无主义。
No, you are sweating, you screamed, you were like shouting,
你出汗，你尖叫等等的。
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Rinpoche mentioned that jealousy is also a great obstacle for practitioners. I feel like jealousy is subtle and difficult to overcome. Rinpoche, what is the best way to overcome jealousy?
仁波切提到嫉妒心是一个修道的一个阻碍，然后是非常的微妙，然后很难去克服。请问仁波切有什么意见？
Very easy, easy sort of answer, just because it's a very big question.
这是一个很大的问题，一个简单的回答就是
Don't have time to talk about this too much.
没有时间讲。
But there's a practice called 7-limb practice, and one of them is actually designed to counter the jealousy.
那么有一种修持方式叫做7支，那么当中其中一个就是为了要能够战胜嫉妒心，
It's the rejoice.
就是随喜。
Yeah, jealousy is a problem. They say that, some of the commentators say there are two loser emotion.
那么有些诗论家他们曾经这样讲，就是有2种失败者的情绪烦恼。
And among these two, this jealousy is even more of a loser.
那么这2者失败者的情绪，这个嫉妒是更失败的。
Anyway, pride being the other one.
另外一个是骄傲。
Jealousy, yes, is a real loser because at least, passion, you get things done.
那么嫉妒真的是最没有用的，因为假如说你有这个热情的话，你至少还能够做点什么事。
And with aggression also you get things done.
啊，只要你有嗔心的话，你可能也会做什么事。
And with ignorance you get storms. It's kind of nice.
假如说你有吃的话，那么你就很莫名其妙的开心。
But what you do with this jealousy is like baseless, totally. And most of the time, it's like a story inside you.
但是这个疑心你要怎么办呢？通常就是你自己脑海中的故事而已。
But actually, if you want to topple, okay, one example. This I think comes from Milarepa. If you want to tackle jealousy, you should have a economy embargo. No, Milarepa didn't say this. This I just I'm interpreting his words.
那么给大家一个例子，就是弥勒日巴曾经这样讲，然后仁波切的诠释方式就是，假如说你想要战胜嫉妒心的话，你应该要有一种这个贸易上的断交。
Jealousy gets fed by pride.
因为骄傲会增长嫉妒。
So watch the pride, and then jealousy gets unsettled.
所以你要对你的骄傲、慢心多注意一点，然后这个时候你的嫉妒心就比较不会这么大了。
I know how to do with the pride.
我知道要怎么去做，
We can talk later. It's too much, too long.
但是这你可能会想说要怎么样对付慢心，但是这谁要讲太久了。
Thank you for coming to Vancouver. I'm a big fan of your books. And I remember that you used the metaphor of onions, like a Buddhism teaching is like different layers of onion. And so I really enjoy readings and reading about Buddhism, but each onion I read, I kind of lose face of the previous onion, previous layers. But I also feel like I'm lacking practice. So it's like, oh, each layer, the more I read, but also lacking of practice. I don't know which onion should I pick and really sit with it and really do the work.
他的问题是说，仁波切在书里面有给过一个例子，就是修道好像剥洋葱一样，但是每剥一层洋葱，他都对前一层洋葱失去了信心，但可能因为自己的修持不够，他不知道应该要剥哪层洋葱。
I think I will let you keep this problem.
我想我会让你继续保有这个问题。
Hi, Rinpoche. Thanks for your teaching. I guess my question has been brought up, or similar questions have been brought up. We've been talking about aspiration, and usually it goes, may I, something, something. So it sounds to me like I am in pursuit of something or trying to do something. And you were also talking about the idea of selfless. So I guess my question is, if there's not a self, then who
Yes,
is
yes, me and my
trying
monk.
to- Yeah,
You are talking
exactly.
about, yes, I understand.
And
so
also-
just remember, we are talking aspiration from the beginning of the dream till the end of the dream. Other than that, there's no aspiration.
And I guess, sorry.
Which will come this afternoon. Remember, it says, it ends with, the Buddhist result. The aim of Buddhism is beyond aspiration.
Is it sort of like someone else asked the question, if like about discipline, and but at the same time you said maybe we should let go of like.
I didn't hear that one.
Is it similar to someone else asked a question earlier about discipline, and then also how you said we should let go of like
Yes.
firm grips on ideas? So is it sort of like until we see the, I guess you could call it the fundamental truth, there needs to be a path, and all these things are
Yes.
a path.
Everything from the beginning of the dream till the end. Practice, discipline, generosity, prayers, everything exists there.
And that's why you said to the German philosopher, like, in the end, you have to give up being a Buddhist
Yes.
anyway. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay?
Thank
非
you.
常
Can
大
you
概的翻
summarize?
译一下，就是讲说，既然这个发愿好像是说要有这个追求，要去做什么的话，那么这跟无我不是相冲突的吗？那仁波切的意思是说，就像做梦一样，从一开始到最后，这一切都是在梦中，除此之外就没有任何发愿的这件事情。那么这也是为什么我们要有这个道途，然后这也是为什么仁波切刚才跟那个德国的哲学家说，到最后我们也要放弃成为一位佛教徒。然后下午我们会再讲更多这方面的事。
Hi, Rinpoche. I think one of your superpower is you're really good at making analogies. So I remember you mentioned nowadays mindfulness is a bit like diluted chai. Chai used to have this beautiful connotation, the smell of the train, the clay pot, the sugar, and the heart. So for someone or for people who aspire to make effective and memorable analogies, do you have any tips and tricks, mental model, app recommendation, things like
For
that?
someone who
Aspire to make effective and memorable analogies.
问题是说，仁波切好像很会打譬喻，像是他曾经讲说，现在当代的正念就好像是被稀释了的印度拉茶。那么仁波切有没有建议要怎么样可以打更好的譬喻给他？
That's what the aspiration was doing, like may I be able to talk to people with different language to different people. I think that's why we do this.
Yes.
Basically, may
What's
I,
your tips and tricks to deliberately practice this ability?
this is the trick, aspiring. Aspiring, I think. I think it really does. Best trick.
仁波切说，最好的技巧就是去发愿。
Okay.
What do you think is the most important thing about an intimate relationship from a Buddhist perspective?
请问仁波切在一段亲密关系当中最重要的是什么？
Buddhists don't really care so much about what you eat, what you drink,
佛教徒不太去在乎你吃什么喝什么，
how you eat, how you drink,
你怎么吃怎么喝。
and also in the intimate relationship falls, and in this kind of department, I think.
那亲密关系就跟怎么吃怎么喝其实是一样的。
If if you don't do it properly, even I don't know, even vegan chai might be troublesome.
假如你不好好去做的话，尽管就甚至是蛋奶素的这个拉茶，都可能会给你带来麻烦。
The vegan cappuccino drinkers, they are the worst sometimes.
蛋奶的这些卡布奇诺喝咖啡的人，他们有时候是最糟的。
They're like I don't know, like a vegetarian terrorist.
他们像是素食的恐怖分子。
There's a really good French film called Delicatessen.
有一
It's
部很
really good.
有一部很棒的法国电影叫做《Delicatessen》。
Rinpoche, my question is about the climate emergency and just the way the world is going generally. And years ago, I heard you say that we should make aspirations, that, if we're worried about the climate emergency, all that this would help a lot. But I guess I still have some doubts because, I don't know.
What is my thought about how the world is going? Is that?
No, I mean, from my point of view, maybe there really isn't any future. So what aspiration am I making in that case?
问题是关于生态危机，这个人认为，他认为说，我们其实根本没有什么未来的希望，那我们到底还应该要怎么发愿呢？
No, if you have taken the Bodhisattva vow, which if you haven't and if you want to, we are doing it this afternoon.
那么，假如说你有受了菩萨戒，没有的话，我们今天下午会受。
Okay, the world will end, this world will end, but so what? I'm not going to give this up. That's the attitude.
即使世界会毁灭，那又怎么样呢？我不会放弃，应该要有这样的态度。
But frankly, no. There's so many different things that's happening in the world. Some are really good.
但是坦白说，世界上发生很多事，有些事是很好的。
Just a few days ago, I downloaded the collection of works of great Longchenpa in like 2 minutes.
几天前，我在2分钟之内就下载了隆钦巴大师的所有著作。
That is so good.
这实在是太好了。
Yeah, I know, but what do you mean?
但我
There's too many information, right? So we get stirred a bit.
但因为有太多资讯了，所以我们有时候会受到干扰。
This is just me personally sharing you just what I do.
那这是我现在跟你分享我个人做些什么。
You should listen to some of the most ridiculous, what do you call it,
Podcast?
Vlogs and video vlogs, ridiculous ones.
所以你应该去看一些、听一些这个 vlogs，就是影音短片，
Really helpful.
非常有帮助。
Because then you should think they're all same, like they're all just.
然后你应该去思维，这一切其实都是平等一样的。
But yes, actually, but I appreciate, that feels really like, really sort of very volatile, and which is in a way volatile.
但是谢谢你这样子想法，因为这一切真的非常动荡。
But Mahayana, especially Tantrikas, if it is volatile, this is a really good chance to reap the profit too.
但是对于大乘行者还有密续行者来说，越动荡其实是越能够收获成果的。
Okay, we may be only able to do one question, and then we take lunch. Can I? Okay, this, and then we finish. Yeah, okay.
Rinpoche, I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, wide awake, so stimulated from yesterday's teachings, and also from this memory that was evoked, which is probably like more than 40 years old. I spoke about it yesterday. It was this healing that happened in Japan. So this was a time when psychic phenomena was like a big hot topic, and I was really interested in this kind of thing. And I'm pretty sure that this was authentic, that it wasn't a hoax. And I've had some thoughts, because I contemplated this in regard to the teachings, that I just wanted to get your feedback, yeah? So in the video, you're in a hospital room in Japan.
Me?
Well, the person who's viewing the video, yeah, we're like viewing a patient in a hospital room in Japan. And there are medical professionals there. There's a monitor which is attached to a camera, which has been placed inside the body of the patient. And there's 5 healers, I think, standing there with their hands kind of raised over the body. And they're chanting. And what you can see on this monitor, which is the recording that's coming through this video feed, or the camera feed, is the tumor inside this patient. And it's all black and white, but you can see it's a different color gray. And you're watching, as they're chanting and they're holding their hands over the patient, you're watching this tumor actually shrinking before your eyes until it's no longer detectable. And then at the very end, they ask, what is it that these Japanese healers were repeating again and again? And what they were chanting was, already done, already done, already done. So I was thinking about this, in terms of the teaching yesterday and what you had said about the moment you make the aspiration, then it's already completed. on one level, and that all of these causes and conditions come together kind of like magic, because what we were observing in this video was like magic, right? To see this tumor heal within like, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, it just disappeared.
Okay, maybe you can do it later. Is that okay? Yeah.
Hi, Rinpoche. You spoke about having a bird's eye view and remembering the sadness of life. I'm wondering if this idea relates to teachings on not abiding in extremes of samsara or nirvana, or not preferring one or the other.
Highest level. That is the real bird's eye view of bird's eye view. There's another bird then.
问题是说，讲到有这个宏观的视野，然后要记住生命的悲伤。请问一下，这个意思是不是就是不要安住于轮回或是涅槃呢？人们却说这是最高的境界。
Okay, we take lunch break.
午饭时间。